Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So good morning. Start of another week. And the U.S. markets are about to open. And today, of course, we'll be talking about Bitcoin and how it's only seen this event twice in its history. And it's pretty significant. And also, we finally know what happened to Terra Luna's reserves. We've been asking about it. We've been asking to get more clarity, and now we get it. And also, there's a new proposal that came out, so I'm going to talk about that as well. All right, let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get notified by hitting that notification bell. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com, and make sure you follow the brand new Clips channel. Welcome, guys. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Well, U.S. market is about to open in about 10 minutes. Right now, things are flat. It wasn't a grain, now it's flat. Previous Fed, Bernanke, you could see, says the Fed's slow response to inflation was a mistake. Not that Bernanke did any good when he was the Fed and the banks were going under. He was pretty slow to give, to force him to take that 790 billion bailout, which at the time was ridiculous. But since then, now we're in the trillions, like it's no big deal. But anyways, just thought I'd point that out. So we'll see what happens when the market opens today. Will it flip to the green or not? Bitcoin is still hovering around 30,000. I mean, it went above a little bit last night. It was a little bit higher, above 31. Came back down to about 30. So now Bitcoin is kind of hovering. But the good thing is, fear has dissipated a little bit. We went from 9 to 10 to 14. So things are smoothing out a little bit at least. But what did I say before? When we have extreme fear level, especially ultra extreme fear level. And I would call those times anytime we have below 10 for a fear value, that is when we usually see a reversal, right? So can we see it this week? And this week, it's important to remember that on a weekly time scale, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 8th week, okay? And we're starting out in the red. Can we flip to the green? Because we have never had 8 consecutive down weeks for Bitcoin in its history. If we do happen to have it, well, then it'll be the first time in Bitcoin's 12-year history or 13-year history. But we have never, ever seen that before. So can we flip into the green this week? Well, we have a very good chance, I believe. And also, and you look at stochastics nearing bottom too. But those are not the bottom indicators, nor the event I want to really talk about today. But I just want to start out with that. Also, I did notice a couple things on the world front. McDonald's says it will sell its Russian business. They just think that they're never going to open up again. That's a big, bold statement. That's huge. They have 800 restaurants. Well, they had 800. Well, they still do, I guess. 800 restaurants and 62,000 employees. Now they are seeking a local buyer. But I'm wondering who in Russia has the money to buy all these restaurants. I mean, the West has cut off everyone, all the oligarchs, their funds, and has frozen their assets. So who's actually going to be buying? And why is McDonald's saying this now, right? Why not wait a little bit? I don't know, but it's a big bold statement right there. And then also I saw this is not good on the war front because Finland and Sweden both want to join NATO because of the war. But guess what? Putin does not want this. Putin does not want any country to join NATO. So that's not good on the war front either. But right now it seems like Ukraine is doing what they can to hold Russian forces back, and it seems like it's working with the help of the Western allies so far. But we'll see if Finland and Sweden really wants to join NATO. What is Putin and Russia going to do afterwards? Don't know. Don't know. Things could escalate. All right, so I want to start out with those things. Now, other things that's related to Bitcoin that's very, very positive. President Bukele of El Salvador is meeting with 44 countries to discuss financial inclusion, digital economy, banking the unbanked, and it all relates to Bitcoin. So look at the list. Look at the list of the 44 countries. Not the most well-known countries, but some of these are very significant. And the ones that really do need financial inclusion and needs financial freedom and needs to break away from the IMF and World Bank, right? So think about that. We already have 2 countries that have embraced Bitcoin as legal tender. Pretty soon we could have 44 more countries following suit. So that could be a very big event. Okay, and that's, I believe, today, because this was tweeted yesterday, so it's today. And as for those pesky Bitfinex whales, right, I've shown this before. Bitfinex Longs on Bitcoin is skyrocketing at a rate that we have never seen before. In fact, I don't think we've seen long contracts this high on Bitfinex. But I did find this news site that looks at not only Bitfinex, but Binance and BitMEX. And you can see that, yeah, there's a lot more longs. Okay, on Bitfinex is 96% longs versus shorts. So they're definitely leading the way. BitMEX is about 50-50, but Binance 61% of long. But in total, you look at all these long contracts, 76% is long. But, I mean, Bitfinex is 97%. And if you look at Ethereum, also more longs than shorts, but not nearly as bullish as Bitcoin. So there is something going on with these long contracts. 97% of futures trading, futures contracts on Bitfinex is long. So there's something going on. And it could be an indicator of a tremendous movement in the near future. So something we need to pay attention to, but that is very, very eye-opening, let's say. All right, what else is there? Well, this is what I really want to show you guys. Something that Bitcoin has not seen very much of before. And this is only the second time it has ever happened in its history. And this is the logarithmic growth curve. And this is something that was not supposed to be broken ever. Okay, I remember when we had the Black Swan event, the COVID crash of 2020, we broke through that. Not just a little bit. We broke through it a lot. Okay, and people panicked. People said, this is done. Bitcoin's done. Because you go back to all the way to 2012, 2013, 2016, 2019, Bitcoin has never broken through it. Okay, and because we did, it's going down to zero. And at that point, it broke down to 3,800. And that's when people thought it was going to 1,000. Honestly, people were saying 1,000, and then it was going to go below that. But guess what? Bitcoin went right back up, utilized it as a support, and kept going, right? And this is the second time it has broken through, basically. Is it now below? I don't see a lot of people panicking about it, but it does. I think it's very, very important to recognize that this is only the second time this has happened, and the first time happens to be one of the worst crashes we have seen, the COVID crash. This time around, not so. We didn't have such a drastic crash in the same amount of time, but it has been stretched out to about 7 to 8 weeks, and we're at that point again. So does this mean that this is just like the COVID crash, and we have found that bottom like before? Well, maybe. I think this is very important. And here's some other things that kind of correlate with that. Again, looking at the COVID crash versus current crash, you look at the RSI level, both below 33. And then you have, of course, accumulation phase. And then you have growth phase, gains, right? And we are definitely in that accumulation phase, much like before. And here's another one that indicates that Bitcoin was on its recovery, but that current crash and that previous crash kind of, came and went. We had a V-shaped recovery, but it's important to see that Bitcoin was recovering in both scenarios. How we were forming higher lows until we had like this flash crash moment with V-shaped recovery, right? And if you look at right now, it's the same thing. We keep making higher lows, but then we did have this current crash, just like before. Does that mean when we flip, we're going to have a V-shaped recovery and then we continue forward? Again, maybe. So all of these things added together, like I've been saying, shows that Bitcoin, first of all, Bitcoin is resilient. No matter what, even COVID crash, no matter what has happened before, Bitcoin has always found a way to come back up. That's the most important thing to recognize. Second thing to recognize is that there's a lot of similarities right now between previous times when we had a sudden crash, when we had something going on, some macro geopolitical stuff going on that caused everything to crash down, just like in 2020. Everything went down, Bitcoin went down, right? But we recovered and became stronger. And I do believe that is still the case, and we will find that reversal, and we will get back to our previous levels. And all these indicators and models show the same thing. Market opens. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we start turning red or turning back to green. All right, so that's about Bitcoin. Obviously, with Bitcoin kind of still where it is now, not really moving up. So most of the altcoins have stayed steady. Hasn't really moved. Yesterday it went up a little bit, but we will see what happens with Bitcoin. Dominance is still up. Now, what about what a lot of you guys are waiting for? What about Luna? What about Terra? Is it ever going to do anything? Well, we finally got some clarity, okay, and a new proposal that may set things right, okay. First of all, the Luna Foundation card, LFG, finally disclosed what happened to their reserves. So they had a tremendous amount of reserves. So what happened to it? 80,000 Bitcoin, 39,000, 40,000 BNB, 26 million USDT, 24 million USDC, about 2 million of Avalanche. They had 700,000 UST and about 1.7 million Luna. This was May 7th, okay? Only 9 days ago. And at that point, I remember if you added all this up, it was about $5 billion, okay? $4 or $5 billion at the time. So they broke it down what happened when the peg started to depeg. I mean, UST started depeg. So they sold about 26 million of USDT, 24 million USDC total. They sold it for UST because for them, their whole plan was to sell off assets to buy UST to bring the peg back up, right? So they bought 50 million of UST. Then they sold 52,000 Bitcoins. And then they bought another $1 billion worth of UST. So now, at that point in time, they have 1.5 billion UST. Then UST continued to fall, went to 75 cents. So now they had to sell more. They sold another 33,000 Bitcoins for 1.1 billion UST. Okay? And a couple days later, they swapped 883 million UST to 221 million Luna because they were afraid of attacks on the network. And this is probably when they shut down the network because they realized they were going to get attacked. So they converted that UST, at least the 883 million, into 221 million Luna, right, to protect it. Unfortunately, the 221 million Luna has dropped significantly, and the 1.8 billion UST has dropped significantly, right? Because UST is only like 13 cents to $1. Luna, obviously, a lot more decimal points. So those billions turn into just millions. But they do still have some. They still have 313 Bitcoin, about 40,000 BNB, 2 million Avalanche, which they have not touched, 1.8 billion of UST, and 227 million Luna, but that is staked in the validator, so most likely they can't touch that. But that's what they have remaining, right? And then I'm just curious, 1.9 trillion of UST times it by like 12 cents. That's still about 228 million, okay? And then you add everything else up. Here's another one that if you add this up, this is about a little bit less than 100 million, like 70 million with Avalanche, BNB, UST. So bottom line is, I think Luna still has about 300 million in reserves, not counting the Luna that is staked in the validators. Okay, so about 300 million. So what they're going to do, according to this, is they will try to compensate users of UST, starting with the smallest holders first. We're still debating on various distribution methods. Update will follow. So they're taking a suggestion of what some people have proposed, which is to look at all the UST holders and start at the smallest ones. And this is, of course, before the DPEG. And start compensating people, utilizing their $200 or $300 million worth of reserves. So they're trying to make it right as much as possible, obviously, at least UST holders. But this still does not take into account what about Luna holders, because Luna has gone down significantly, right? But this is the latest update in terms of the reserves and what they plan on doing with it, although the plan is not set in stone. Now, there is one other plan that's not from the LFG. This is just from someone that decided to look at what Do Kwon has come out with before and what someone else came out and combined the two. And this is talking about Terra 2.0, either hard forking into a new chain or just somehow burning off the 6.5 trillion into 1 billion. This is what Do Kwon said before about starting over with 1 billion. But if we do that, still give 20% to developers, give 40% to Luna holders at the time of depegging, before depeg, only 10% to the new holders, okay? And then sell off 30% to investors. And the reason being, to try to utilize that 30% to make about $1 to $1.5 billion and then give that to the UST holders. So this way, both Luna holders and UST holders will be compensated. Okay, and this is proposing up to 50,000 per wallet. So most of the smaller wallets have less than 50,000 of UST in there. So this is basically using the same model, but incentivizing new angel investors or VCs to come on board, take 30% of the new tokens in exchange for about 1 to 1.5 billion, and utilizing that to make UST holders whole. So that is this new proposal. I think this is okay. This is okay. The old proposal from Do, basically it's the same as this, but this takes into account selling off to get more funds to compensate. So there's progress. Okay, there's progress. LFG is going to do what they can with their current reserves, but there's still a lot of proposals coming aboard. So we'll see if one of them gets implemented. Right now, it's still kind of chaotic. There's no set voting on any of these plans. They're just kind of thrown out there on Terra's site. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right. That is pretty much it. The markets are unfortunately a little bit in the green. A little bit in the red, not green. NASDAQ is still being hammered away. There are a lot of scared traders out there that just keeps hammering NASDAQ, right? Will we see that reversal? And as for Bitcoin, it's about the same, a little bit under $30,000. But Bitcoin has been going up and down, up and down, up and down. So would not be surprised to see it go above 30,000 in the near future. All right, let's do some Q&A. Pedro, are you sure it's before the depeg? What about people who had UST on exchanges? See, the exchanges is the difficult part, but it will require the exchanges to kind of go on board with it. Exchanges have their own wallet, which the users are sharing, right? So the exchanges should get their fair portion, and then they have to calculate how many people had UST or Luna on the exchanges, and then they will distribute that way. So the exchanges will have to comply. Most likely they will. They would not follow it. If some new proposal is implemented, they'll probably follow it. But it does get messy. It does get messy. Chad Elliott previously asked, thoughts on Polygon and Gala media future? I don't think there's anything different with them. They're still continuing forward. Polygon is still making relationships. They're enabling their new ZK Snark scaling, and they're still executing. And Gala still has their roadmap to release more games. So I think both are just fine. Oh, I forgot about when I was calculating this. I forgot about the 313 bitcoins, which comes out to be what, 9 million. Yeah, so they're around 300 million, maybe a little bit more. What about ICP? I've never been a fan of ICP, so I don't know what's really going on with them right now. Man. All right. Jackal. These regulators, right? So yesterday's video was about the SEC. Obviously, not obviously, but like on cue, right after what happened with Terra and UST, you have all these, you have Hester Pearson at SEC saying that, yeah, we're going to look closely at, stablecoin regulation. Janet Yellen has mentioned it. UK is mentioning it. Everyone's mentioning it. It's almost like, this is their prime example of why we need to have heavier oversight and regulations, right? So it's an unfortunate thing, but it is going to come because of it. Am I bullish on Cosmos? Yes. Do I have any predictions? No. Right now, the reality is it doesn't matter what you're holding, Cosmos or Gala or Ethereum, Cardano, right? Everyone is waiting to see if we get traction back with Bitcoin. So right now, this is why I'm reporting so heavily on Bitcoin, is because Bitcoin's leading the market. If Bitcoin is not going to do well, none of them will do well. So Cosmos, I am a big fan of, and their IBC is very important for not only them, but all the other chains that's built within. But they're not going to be moving until Bitcoin moves. Winston, it's the same thing with Phantom. Phantom has sold off more heavy than others because they have their own stablecoin. I don't know if a lot of people realize this. A lot of these stablecoins are deep pegged. This is why I said stay away from projects with algorithmic stablecoins right now. So look at Phantom's USD right now. Look at that. Yesterday while I was checking them, it's 84 cents, which was already deep pegged, but they had a huge, tremendous drop. I didn't even notice until right now. So they are struggling. So any algorithmic stablecoin out there, any project that's associated with them is struggling right now. So this is not good at all. And also, like Near has USN, I believe. That's also deep pegged. No, USN is better. But there was a few others I checked last night. They were also deep pegged. So watch out for projects that have their own algorithmic stablecoin right now. CasPass. I sent a chat early in stream. I can't see it. I can't scroll past a certain amount. So you'll have to, I apologize if I missed it, but you have to retype it. Let's see. Samurai and Infinite and Sol. I mean, Sol has lost a lot of its momentum, but it's still one of the big caps. It's still holding pretty good at number 8, but it has lost a lot of momentum recently. But the good thing about Solana is that there's still a lot of big backers, and as for NFTs, still huge on Solana. When it comes to NFT chains, it's of course Ethereum, and the second is Solana. And now they're supported on OpenSea too, so that's also very positive. June 1st, Fed may begin to reduce the size of the balance sheet. They've said that, yeah. This has been a difficult time in the past, massive bear market in crypto and stocks too. You know what? That's kind of like priced in my opinion. Okay, they said they were going to reduce it. They announced it already. So people know it's coming, just like the rate hikes. But rate hikes are question marks. It could be more, it could be less. Balance sheet, I don't know. I think it's more or less priced in. You may be right, but I do think it's already stated, so people are already anticipating that. Do you agree with Bankman-Fried that BTC is not a good currency because scalability issues? And if so, what token can be used? Honestly, day-to-day in the future will still be some form of digital fiat. Okay, I don't think we'll ever get off of digital fiat, like a digital USD or a digital yuan or whatever, a digital euro. But that's okay. You don't need Bitcoin to be the internet currency or day-to-day currency. We do have Lightning Network, which helps scale. It definitely does. But Lightning Network has its own issues that people don't talk about. For example, the reason why Bitcoin is so strong is the network, right? The network is powered by miners around the world, and you can't shut it down. You can't hack it. Lightning Network uses another network on top of the Bitcoin network, not nearly as big and not nearly as secure. So I think it's okay to have Bitcoin not be used as a currency and just be used as a store of value. I think that's fine. Just like gold is not used as a currency anymore. It's used as store of value. And I think Bitcoin taking that role is fine. But as for anything else, I think everything else like L1s, like Ethereum and others, they're used as utility. I don't think they should be used as a day-to-day currency either. So I guess in that sense, I do agree. Osmosis is like the biggest DEX on Cosmos. They were very, very tight with a lot of... they were tight with Terra before, so that probably changed. But they're very tight with all the other projects that's within the Cosmos ecosystem. So I like them, but DEXs just don't get a lot of love recently. I mean, they don't get a lot of love at all. So the love goes to more like the L1s and like gaming companies and so forth. Jeff says, George, I wish I followed your 50-25-25 suggestion. I'm too heavy into alts, going pretty much focus on BTC and Ethereum dip. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard lesson to learn. And when I was saying it during 2021, like, no one cared. Like, they're like, okay, you say that, but we're not going to follow it. No one followed it in 2021 because alts simply ran. They ran hard, and they kept running until we saw finally a top in November, December, right? But I've always stressed 50% in Bitcoin for that stability in case we get a large correction, in case we do go through something like what we're seeing now, right? It provides a stability. I mean, Bitcoin still goes down, yes, but it goes down way less than the altcoins that flew up, right? So I think having the right portfolio allocation is important. Cassie Pass. I bought Bitcoin at 50K. Should I sell and buy back for tax advantages? There's no right or wrong answer. You could do so. I don't know where you live. If you're in the U.S., yes, you could tax harvest that way. If you're in another country, maybe not. And if you don't do it, you're okay too. So, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. USDP. I don't even know who creates USDP. Who created USDP? I don't know. Oh, Pax dollar. Pax is okay. Pax is like USDC. They're backed 100%. And Pax also, they're the company behind BUSD and Gemini USD. So they're fine. I know they have regular audits and they're 100% backed by USD. So no worries there. So is Luna dead or not dead? I don't know. The future is not determined yet. If all these proposals, if they get denied or even implemented, there's no guarantee that it's going to be alive. But right now, it has seemed to have found a bottom with 3 zeros. There are a lot of people very excited about its future, but there's also a lot of people that hate it and just want it to go away now. So it's unknown if it's going to survive or not. So I'm hearing that Dogecoin should be used as day-to-day currency. That's what Elon wants, but I don't think that's going to happen. But, you know, weirder things have happened before, so we'll see. Do you think you need to hold the same Luna coins you held? It doesn't matter what you hold, I don't think. It's going to use a snapshot. So I think that's how it's going to work. Usually with these kind of things, when they try to roll back to a certain time, they take a snapshot. So Frank says, George, you're missing the fact that Luna dumped trillions in a circuit supply. First of all, they didn't dump it. That was part of the algorithm which they shut off. And second, no, I didn't miss it. I said before, it's not ever going to go back to $100 or even $1. Okay? Even 0.1 would be nearly impossible. But they can still chop off a zero. And their market cap is still one of the biggest. I don't know. CMC delisted them, really. But if they weren't delisted, they would be sitting at number 40, which shows that they're really far from dead, right? If they're still, even after what happened, they're still the 40th largest crypto company, that tells you something, right? But CMC just removed them, so that's unfortunate, and people can't see that. When is Bukele meeting with those countries? I have no idea. I just know it's sometime today. Maybe it's happening already. USDC equals CBDC, central banks control crypto. No, it may seem like that, but no. CBDC is going to be much worse than USDC, right? Right now, there's still a little bit of separation between private company and the government. Even though it's very little, but there is still some. But when the digital USD comes out, there will be there's nothing that the government won't know about you. How much you have at every given moment, how much you spend, how much gets transferred to you, how much you transfer, who are you transferring to, who's transferring, what are you buying, right? Like every single detail, once a digital USD comes out, will be tracked for sure. So, there is still going to be, if you think USDC is already that, no, you're wrong. The digital dollar will be much worse. But, we're not there yet, but I think we're going to get there soon. FTX guy, Bankman-Fried, yes, bought 7% of Robinhood. Well, they're already planning on that. FTX.US is planning on stock trading. So, FTX.US, one of my partners, they announced that months ago. But maybe they're going to do something bigger with Robinhood, but they plan on coming out of stock trading within their app, which will kind of separate them from everyone else like Binance and KuCoin and even Coinbase, right? So I'm actually looking forward to that. But, besides that, FTX has a lot of cool stuff. They have their NFT marketplace. They have their BlockFolio app, which they bought, and they have their own app. So, but you know, we'll see. Sam Bankman-Fried, he has so much money right now, and he's utilizing it in a downtime to try to grow. Perfect opportunity, right? When Robinhood was at its peak, there's no way he could have bought 7%. But right now, buying 7% is pretty easy for him. So that's what you're supposed to do. You take advantage of low prices if you can, right? Same thing with him. Shannon says, I will try my hardest not to use digital dollar. I will get rid of my computer, cell phone. They can't force us. They can't force you, but they can also force you. When all the merchants out there, every single person out there is basically utilizing this new digital wallet and everyone's using the digital dollars and your company is paying you in the digital dollar, right? You kind of have no choice. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what happens when it comes out. But I think this is the biggest reason why China came out with digital yuan. Same reason. So they could track everyone, their money and what they're doing at all times. It's kind of scary if you think about it, but that's where we're heading to. Like you have $100, $1,000 in cash in hard paper currency. No one knows what you do with it. But if you have $10 or $100 of digital USD and you spend it, people will know exactly where it's going to go. But yeah. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Overall, U.S. markets turning red once again. Bitcoin slightly lower than yesterday, but still close to 30,000. Can we finally see that reversal this week? We never had 8 straight weeks of red. Will we break that trend, or will we see green? Well, let's see what happens. It's still early, but a lot of very promising things in regards to Bitcoin. And also, I gave you guys an update on Terra's plan, so we'll see. We'll see when it gets implemented and what the exact procedure are when it comes to redeeming what you've lost with UST. So, all right, smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys later. We'll try to put out another video about 11:45, 12 o'clock. And then I will be streaming again tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and check out all the new clips on the Clips channel. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.